Hi, I'm Pam, and I would like to welcome you to the Live Authentically show. My team and I help other people step into their authentic realities via a number of different modalities. This show is one of them, obviously. I also have a Facebook group, and we can be found at liveauthentically.today/FB. I'm also super pumped that I just launched my first book. It's called SOAR, SOAR, and it's on Amazon, available in audiobook, paperback, and Kindle. So check that out. It's a spiritual, experiential journey through a transformative life event and shows how I partnered with the universe to create my new reality. So I am super pumped that on today's show with me, I have Bonnie and Paul. Hello.
Hi there.
Hello. How are you?
Just great.
We're doing good. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm super excited to hear all of the information, the knowledge, the wisdom, the amazing things you guys are doing in the world today. They are from Passion Placement. They're going to tell us all about their company and the story about how they founded it. And but before we start, I always like to start my shows off with the same question. And that question is, how do you live authentically every day?
Well, I guess it starts with waking up and saying, what can I do today to make the world a better place? Start with that and you can't go wrong. So,
and our mission really is to help others, live their dream, because that's what we're doing. We're living our dream through Passion Placement by, creating this platform where people can come and find the perfect position. This is the people that can live their passion through their work. So many of us have, been, working to make a living and then having a passion on the side. And sometimes not even that. So we're trying to help people find their perfect position where they can have their passion and their work together.
I guess we should really kind of start by saying that what we are. We're really what we started. It was really an employment platform. We purposely don't use the term job board because we're far more than that. A typical job board would be something where there are postings put out there. You go and you look at the job and you either apply for it or don't. We go a little bit deeper in that endeavor. We're always available. We're interested in helping people, really find what matters to them. Hence the name. Everyone has that passion in them that drives them. We come to this. Bonnie and I come from different perspectives to the same place. We're both vegans, although the website is not a vegan website. Mm-hmm. We're really very much interested in, spreading the word and sharing what we can, helping whoever we can find their place in their, that magic that's in them. And that all starts with really what you do. How do you focus your energy? What was the saying, do what you love and never work another day in your life. Mm-hmm. And that's a big piece behind all of what drives us here. So, we just to give you a little bit more about the platform itself, passionplacement.com is set up so that it's, we are a niche job board, but not in the normal sense of what that might mean to someone. We're really, we put the mission first before anything else. And that's for the employer. We're very active in the plant-based food space, if you will. And the big reason behind that is that's sort of the key. That's something that everybody can contribute to the greater good on a daily basis by the choices they make, what they choose to eat. There's a ripple effect. Animals are still, the slaves of the universe today, right? And we're to the point where we're really, you could make a point that we're all live beings, and we're cannibalizing some part of our own souls as we eat animals. I could go on that, but that's not the point. So, I don't know. Is that making sense? You have a picture from that? So we cover all types of work, from volunteers and working with nonprofits to really just about any kind of a job, all the way to if someone's looking for a board seat, perhaps. So we cover the entire gamut. We're not focused on C-level employees. We work with C-level employees, as well as people that work in restaurants, what have you. So, we're really looking to build this central resource, if you will, and then provide those services around that, which include things, consulting is one of the things that we do with candidates, and then there's a variety of employer services, from getting their story out, whether it's from video production work. We work very closely with Elizabeth Alfano's group, and so we're really on a mission to pull people together to create this resource. Maybe a good way for you to get a sense of this is, Bonnie, if you don't mind sharing a little bit of how we even got to this place. You really, it was your experience that made that happen.
Right.
Yeah, let's hear.
Yeah. So we're trying to build a tribe because it's so important for the right employees to be in these plant-based companies, is they're going to go further faster if they've got passionate employees. It matters. They're made up of that. That's the lifeblood of a company. And so, it's important for these companies to keep their culture and to keep the passion within it. I came to it because my background is I'm an accountant. I've been, I'm a CPA. I'm a CFO, or previously was a CFO of a public company. I have lots of great experience bringing a company public, raising money for the company, and, all kinds, from beginning to end, start to finish. I've been an accountant in different roles. And I figured, why shouldn't I be using that skill set to help a company that's in the plant-based space, a company that is focused on getting animals out of the supply chain? That's my mission. That's my why. That's why I'm here in this world, is to help animals. And it was impossible to try to find that position for an accountant. You can Google vegan jobs and you'll find chef positions and things like that. Maybe even animal advocacy roles, hands-on with the animals, which would be great, but doesn't always pay the bills. I literally had to write a list of companies down and check their websites every week. These were companies that I felt were mission aligned, that I would be so happy to work for, and just kept checking their website every week. And it was like, needle in a haystack, trying to hunt for that. And it just occurred to me that I'm not the only one in that situation. There's other people out there that are accountants or, with other skill sets that want to be making a difference in the world. And so I decided it really needs to be easier, because people are going to give up. And then, the plant-based companies miss the boat.
Yeah.
Because people have to make a living, so I really, it was really my purpose is to help people find their why and to live that why through their work.
To do it better and faster, so that, time is of the essence in life, right? And all too often people do settle and the paycheck, they need the paycheck, and they'll just jump into, whatever position comes along because they gotta do it. They got to get it behind them. So if we can build this resource and continue to build it, it becomes a place where connections can be made much more quickly. And it's to the advantage of those mission-driven companies to have this resource, one where they can dip in whenever they need to, and obviously for the candidates as well, perhaps even more so, to know that they're going to a place that they can trust, where they can get help, they can ask, and there are people there that will support them and give them ideas. That's, I think, that's the difference. We're not, part of the thinking too, as I said before, we come to it from different places. Bonnie became vegan because of the animals. I ended up here because of health. It was really finding myself, as I was previously married, and my wife had terminal cancer and was concerned about what my diet was going to look like. And in an effort to get rid of that stress, I ended up picking up a book by Joel Fuhrman, Eat to Live, and that started me on the plant-based path. And I've always been passionate about animals and don't believe in, I'll take a bug outside. I won't kill it if I can avoid it. So, we connected, with, she sort of came up. I'm the entrepreneurial one. She's the, being an accountant, she's much more, practical, very deep. The details, the devil's in the details. Me, I'm much more, hey, why can't we do this? Let's just jump into it. I'm one of those people that sometimes go off the board hoping there's water in the pool. And there usually is. So that's the good news. I've come to learn that you can really trust the universe to a great degree. That's what faith is to me. Faith is really, believing in yourself. It's believing in others. And there's so much in the world that draws us away from that and keeps us negative. And we have to resist that force every day. It's really, it's all out there. And it's just really how you address yourself, how you focus yourself. And do you let more of the negative energy occupy your day, or do you strive to pull the positive energy into your life? So,
right. I love that. I love how you mentioned faith and leaning into that faith and knowing that you don't have to have it all figured out right now.
Absolutely.
I think that is such a game changer for people. I know it was for me when I let go of the need to have something all figured out before I started, and I just go on intuition. If it feels right, I do it. And sometimes what I do in the physical world doesn't necessarily make sense. It doesn't make sense on paper. It doesn't make sense to other people. But right. I know, I completely live in faith, and I know that the path is going to be revealed to me according to divine timing. When I need to, I'll get the information, the right people will show up. And I think that there is, I think that's so important because we're not accustomed to living in that space. We're accustomed to being stifled in that fear-based place. There's always someone there who's going to be there to tell you, 10 reasons why it's not going to work. Or there's someone there that's going to be, putting fear in your mind and fear of failure, fear of judgment, all of that. But you're right, when we overcome all of that and step out of that fear-based place and into faith, then, a whole new world opens up to us. And when we're doing something that moves humanity forward, such as your efforts, when we're adding value to the world, the universe will conspire with us. It just can't happen any other way. Right? We need to live in that belief, and we need to stay in that mindset of manifestation and believe that it's going to happen, and it does. Absolutely.
It's really amazing. It's one of the things that I treasure the most is that through faith, when you move towards something, you change all the elements from where you were. They immediately start to change, and that opens other opportunities to you, and things come to you, out of nowhere. Because your energy is such that you're in a place of acceptance. You're open to it. When you accept things, when you say, okay, it is what it is, I'm moving from here, and you go forward. It's just amazing how energy from different places manifests itself and helps you along the way. There again, it's back to faith, and that's the real meaning of faith.
Right. Absolutely. What I was going to say, what I love about your setup, your framework, is that what I'm hearing is there's a shared belief system. And I think that is the absolute foundational piece. It is just so important because oftentimes we don't necessarily share the same belief system of companies that we work for, groups we hang out with, et cetera. And I think that is such a key component, because when we have that shared belief system, it goes deeper than task orientation, right? Just performing a job. It's like, you know what? We are doing this mission together, right? Something it's mission based. It's not task driven. And I think that is such a key element that, I mean, and it's win-win for everyone. Obviously it's win-win for, it's a win for the employee and it's a win for the company. And this alignment, I mean, really, it's about aligning yourself. I mean, that's what I'm hearing here. It's about coming at it from a place of alignment. And when everything is in alignment, then that impacts the individual, obviously, right? Because they feel more engaged, employees are more engaged, and they feel like they're part of a grander mission, and that they are seen and they are valued and they are heard, and they're making a huge difference. They're working towards that common goal, that common mission. And companies obviously also benefit too, because when people aren't fulfilled at their job, right, what happens? Employee morale is down, employee engagement is down, employee retention, is affected as well. So this really does ultimately, that coming from that place of alignment does flow through to the bottom line, and ultimately does impact productivity. It impacts profitability. It impacts the bottom line.
Absolutely. There's an exponential nature of that momentum. It just expands, and that's really magic when that happens. It's amazing how things can accelerate when things line up. This concept of resistance. Where there's resistance, there's things move slowly, because everyone's cautious and paranoid, and their energy's off. But when there is alignment, when there is a sense of purpose, when there's a sense of meaning, shared trust is a huge piece of this. In absence of trust, there really is nothing but resistance. When there is trust, things can glide so fast and so smooth, and you can step over things that would have been hurdles before, and that you could have easily gotten stuck in, because trust is the bedrock of really exponential success. I think in any transaction, any interaction, if you will.
I agree with that. Personal relationships. I mean, trust is absolutely the foundational piece, right? It's essential, right? If there isn't trust, there isn't a reason to continue, in my opinion. There has to be that integrity, that shared trust. I'm curious, what feedback have you received from companies on this? When they hire people whose belief system is similar to theirs, whose mission is aligned with theirs. I'm curious if you have any early data or feedback on that with regard to employee engagement, retention, productivity, profitability.
Yes, well, the companies all inevitably, almost all of them, maybe even all of them, have in the job descriptions that a person needs to be passionate about the mission of the company. So these companies that are on here are mission-driven companies. They're in this to solve a problem, whether it be the environment. Some of them are in it for the environment. Some of them are in it for the animals. But whatever it is that is motivating them, they want people they're in their camp that really care about this mission and want to do something about it. So, we're seeing that the Gen Z crowd is absolutely, motivated to make a difference. I think it may be a little bit more the environment for them. That's my guess, because they're really not going to have a planet if we don't do something now. There's not going to be a planet for their children to grow up on. So it's really critical. It's urgent that be solved. And there's a lot of the companies out there are making that connection that animal agriculture is destroying this planet, and they're trying to come up with the answers to that. There's so many innovative companies out there coming up, looking for those answers, and they absolutely see the value in finding employees that are mission aligned. That's just baseline for them.
Yeah, I think this is a really exciting time that we're in, where the food system is really undergoing change, which is really positive. We've been sort of trapped in, and I think a lot of this is the internet, people like yourself coming out and saying, let's be open and truthful and honest with each other. And there's more of that.
Authentic.
It's very, authenticity is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more and more of that because we have this voice now that we didn't have before. And, you look at food and politics, and, how money has been the driving force behind all of this for so long, not health, money. And that's just not going to work in the long run. We can't, it's not sustainable, never has been sustainable. Things are moving so fast today. The need for that to change it just couldn't be greater. And what's happening now is these large companies, these conglomerates are saying, this is actually getting traction. We need to be part of this. We need to have a foot in it because we don't want to lose our profitability. And if this keeps shifting, as it's shifting, look at milk. Look at how you go into a grocery store now, there's 20, 30 different varieties of milk.
And ice cream.
And ice cream. Dairy is even cheeses are coming into play. And through fermentation today, we're going to have a gamut of flavors of cheeses like never before. They're improved dramatically already. People still think it's, the yuck that was there, 10 years ago, which was pretty bad. So it's an exciting time. And we just saw this as a spot where, there was a real need to try to, pull all this energy that is similar. People who are moving in that same direction. Now we're going into materials, fabrics that using things that are not made from animals. So we don't need to be using animals to move the planet forward, which I think is exciting and hopeful. So,
absolutely. We were talking about resistance earlier, and I do see, it's super exciting to see people start to awaken and start to make the shift to plant-based eating. But there is also obviously some opposition, some resistance, right? So how can you explain some of that resistance? Can you give me some examples of things that you've heard? Like, what are reasons why people resist going plant-based?
The people I've talked to, some people I think a lot of it is tradition. They just say, okay, that's how I am. I'm going to eat. I'm going to be a carnivore.
Yeah.
And they just, that cognitive dissonance, they're just not getting it. They're not connecting the dots. I think a lot of it is tradition. Some people believe that that's where they get their protein.
Yep.
That's still out there. There's so many myths in the dairy industry. They make people believe they need to have calcium. So, there has to be milk in your diet, which in the opposite is true. It's worse for your bones to be drinking milk. It's absurd that the myths out there that people are believing. It never really comes to the environment. And so I try to shift that conversation to the environment usually, because
animal agriculture in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if, you're not going to, connect with somebody on veganism by the animal argument, you can sometimes connect. They're just going to eat a diet, whatever is there, and not really care about being connected with their values. Because people would, if you ask somebody, do you think it's okay to be cruel to animals? They say no, but yet every day they are.
Yeah.
So I just shift the conversation to the environment, because it's just, that has to happen, and people have to make that connection. Environmentalists haven't, by and large, made that connection.
Neither have doctors.
They're starting to make that connection. And that, I think, will be a way for us to make our tribe, double and triple once that connection is made. So that's usually where I go.
Yeah, I think there are two things: laziness and fear. And I think fear probably comes before laziness. But I have people that I'm thinking of one friend that I know who says that meat and potatoes, that's it. I am not interested in anything else. That's all I eat, meat and potatoes. Life is that simple, and it just keeps it simple for me. And I'm like, okay. So that's not going to work out for too well in the long run. But that's the funny thing about diet and eating. You don't know how far you're moving in a certain direction till your body breaks. And even then you're dealing with physicians that don't know anything about nutrition, believe it or not. They don't really study nutrition. You look at some of the heart surgeons that have recently, Esselstyn, and all of his work that he did he was the first heart surgeon to actually physically show images of how what you eat impacts your cardiovascular health. And it's fact. It's not, this is not fiction, and
Science.
it's science. It's truly there. So so people are waking up, and it's changing, and I think that is good. I'm not trying to take anyone away from what their pleasure is, but I hope that they'll keep an open mind or develop one and experiment a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I always say, when I talk about plant-based eating, I always assure people that, I'm not here to evangelize you or impart my belief system on you, but I'm just simply here to raise awareness. I think the first step is just awareness. And I know before I shifted to plant-based eating, it was a process. It was a process of becoming conscious, right? So it was, we don't ever go from being fully unconscious to being conscious linearly or overnight, or it's never a straight trajectory, right? It's a process of discovery. So I know, even for me, even though I had plant-based advocates trying to share the benefits to me and really convince me that, yes, this is the healthier way to live. It's better for you. It's better for the animals. It's better for the planet. I was still meeting them with a little opposition and was willing to kind of go toe to toe and say, but, I need my big ticket protein item. I need my filet, or I need my, my wild caught salmon for my big ticket protein, no carbs, etc. But it was a process. It was a process of shifting kind of from the ego into the soul, departing from that programming that had been following me around, that I had been following for decades. And really, it was part of crafting my belief system. So I found that every time I discovered it, every time I stepped away, I discovered plant-based eating, or I had a newfound appreciation for the whys. So for the beginning, for me, it was about, what are the health benefits for me? And it took me a little while to get there, because I still thought, well, maybe I should be having a little meat here or there. But then when I started to look at it from, like you said, there is science behind it. This isn't just based on, woo-woo stuff. Like, this is actual, there's science behind it. And everything in our universe has a vibration. It has a frequency, including our bodies. And a healthy human body resonates at a different frequency, at a higher frequency than an unhealthy human body. Foods resonate at different frequencies. So when we start to think about it from that perspective, when we start assigning frequencies to the foods that we eat, and understand that has a direct impact on the frequency that we embody, and therefore a direct impact on whether or not we are creating an atmosphere that promotes disease or promotes health. We start to follow that path a little bit and make that connection, then we can start to make different decisions, right? But it's all about rewiring those neural pathways. Even when I think one of the barriers too is that we don't associate, we aren't conditioned to associate the food that we eat with the origin, right? With the animal, right? So like, why isn't, it's called beef, ribs, like it's not called cow, you know what I mean? Like, people don't make the connection between the animal and the food that's on their plate.
Yeah.
And I find it to be, I still think there's a lot of disconnect because, like you said, most people believe in kindness, right? They want to be kind and compassionate. But I think that we are shielded from the pain and the suffering and, all of, everything the animals go through. That's kept behind closed doors because I think there's a lot going on. I mean, we have these self-feeding systems in this country. I don't want to get super political, but there's all of these systems feed one another, right? The pharmaceutical industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, healthcare multi-billion-dollar industry, weight loss multi-billion-dollar industry, animal agriculture multi-billion-dollar industry. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like that's what sustains our economy. That's what sustains, right? The finances, the economy. But at the end of the day, I always say it's not that difficult. Like you can go, the answer is in the produce section of the grocery store.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
It's
it really
interesting
comes down to that.
There's no lobby for plants. You got, there's lots of lobbies in Washington, but I haven't seen the plant lobby yet.
Right. I know. I think, but I agree. It is an exciting time though, because people are starting to become more aware of what we're putting in our bodies and starting to make the connection to animals. It's going to take time, right? These are patterns that have been in place for, decades, hundreds of years, et cetera. So it's going to take time to undo that. But I think any little difference, what if someone said to you, well, what's the difference? Does it really matter if I have beef or not? I mean, is that really going to make a difference? What would you say?
It will make a difference, yes, because it makes a difference to the cow and it makes a difference to the planet. It makes a difference to your health. It makes a huge difference to your health. It's so unhealthy for you to eat beef or chicken or, anything that's been through the torture that those animals went through. Is not a good thing to put in your body. And there's no need for it. So, I mean, really, you can get your health by eating plants, like you said, in the produce section. There are so many people with stories like Paul's where they went from being, 100 pounds overweight and on all kinds of medicines, and then going plant-based and being completely off of them in perfect shape and full of energy. And that comes from, what you're putting in your body, including, all of the misery that goes with the creation of animal products. And, I think, unfortunately, what's really going to take animals out of the food system is to provide an alternative to make the animals obsolete, really.
Yes.
And I think that's something, yes. So we no longer have to eat animals. So all of these companies that are creating products, whether it's cell-based or, fermentation, plant-based foods, that's what's going to be key to making people say, I don't need this steak because I can have this that was just, 3D printed or whatever, the latest and greatest, or, from a mushroom. Mushrooms are another one that,
mycelium.
So if we create those better products, people will stop eating meat. It's really about making meat obsolete rather than, trying to change people from what they're eating.
Important thing here is people think in terms of diets. Most people that struggle with weight, like myself, I had weight problem most of my life until I went plant-based. They think from the perspective of diet. So making a change in what I eat is going to be a painful experience. It's going to be difficult. And I found quite the opposite. When I found myself in a place where I really had to take some kind of action and I went plant-based, I went to lose weight. I had come back from the doctor. I was, well over 50 pounds, quite a bit, very overweight. In fact, I ended up losing 70 pounds. in Furman's book, he's focused on type 2 diabetes, which is completely avoidable with diet. And he had a promise there you could lose this, I don't remember the amount of weight, but it was sizable, 20, 30 pounds in 3 months. And so I said, if I can just do that, that would be amazing. So, I sort of made that my goal. And what I want to share with everyone is that your body starts to heal immediately. The changes start to happen. I didn't think I would make it not eating cheese or meat for 3 months. But when I was actually getting nutrition, it made it so much easier for me. All I had to do was deal with the addictive thought, which is a little bit more easy to manage than cravings which are physical. And for me, in my years as a meat eater, my body never got any real satisfaction out of the meal. I just felt full. And at the end of 3 months eating plant-based, I was like, why would I go back to anything here? This is working for me. I've never felt this good before physically. When I eat a meal, I actually can feel the energy in my body, and I never had those sensations before. So I think it's important that people understand that it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle change. And that's a key piece. And if you can make that switch, make that lifestyle change, and it's much easier than dieting. It's much easier than saying, I can't do this or I can't do that anymore. So I just share that for what it's worth. Yeah,
thank you. What advice do you have for people who say, I want to start dabbling in plant-based diet? Maybe, what advice do you have for them to start making kind of small shifts? What are some daily lifestyle habits that they can start adopting to start to make the shift so that they don't have to feel, overwhelmed, completely eliminate meat from their life, and all of a sudden now they're skipping dinner because they don't know what else to eat because they don't have their meat?
Right.
I think, some of the easy things to change are, take the butter out of your refrigerator and get something that's plant-based.
What are some alternatives to that? For example, let's say, what are some butter replacements?
Miyoko's has a great one. There's Earth Balance that you
Earth
can
find
in any supermarket. There's
several of them out there.
There's some that are not so good, but Earth Balance is good, and Miyoko's is great. So it depends, I guess, on the person you're speaking to. If it's somebody that really loves their butter, I would point them towards Miyoko's. If it's somebody that just likes it on their toast and they're not all that passionate about their butter, then Earth Balance is just fine. So that's a good place to start. You don't need milk. You don't need cow's milk in your refrigerator anymore. There's so many alternatives to that. And ice cream, you can take those out of your diet right away and not feel any change at all. So then you start playing with veganizing your favorite recipes. I think if you figure out 4 or 5 favorite recipes, then it takes the work out of it. There is some learning curve to it. So, you start with 1 day a week. People do meatless Mondays, and you just, even if you feel like I need something that tastes like chicken, then, pick up a package of Gardein. Gardein makes great, plant-based chickens. There's so many out there in the supermarket. In any supermarket you go to, you can get plant-based alternatives, and it's really easy these days to do that. So you pick up some of those. Some people call them transitional foods. They're out there, and it helps people to you don't even feel like you've given up anything. Mm-hmm. And then I think it's important to get to the mindset of I'm not giving anything up. There's an abundance of foods out there that are not meat related, that you could open up you could come up with recipes that you've never thought of, because there's so much out there in the plant-based world. Everybody eats plant-based. Everybody's had a salad or eaten an apple. everybody does. And it's just a matter of adding more of that and less of the meat.
I think also, if someone's looking at health issues, there are a couple of, Esselstyn's book, How to Prevent or Reverse Heart Disease. That's one of the big killers. And obesity is they say up to 75% of Americans are 75 to 80% are certainly overweight, if not obese. And that's a big killer as well. So maybe health might be the motivation that drives you to make the change in your life. There are some great books out there, and that book is one of the ones. The one I mentioned earlier, Eat to Live. There's some, and these are all focused on. They focus more on getting oil out of the diet. There's how to cook with water. We did that last night. We had a sausage stir fry that was excellent, and no oil.
That was. I'm sorry to
no, it's
interrupt
right.
you, but
No,
we last year over the winter we took this course. Forks Over Knives does a cooking course.
Cooking course. That was great.
And we learned all these new recipes. That was really a great experience, and I would highly recommend it to anybody that's interested in playing in the plant-based space. If they're thinking about dabbling in eating more plant-based, that was just a good healthy way to add recipes and be creative about what you're eating every day.
Yep. Good. Excellent course.
Yeah,
that's a great idea. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do is just I like to raid the produce section at the grocery store and just bring home a bunch of stuff and just play in the kitchen. We've done like vegan spaghetti and meatballs. In fact, one time my daughter and we made Swedish meatballs, just like vegan, they were with brown rice and lentils, and she brought them to school and she let her friends try them. They were like, oh my gosh, these are so amazing. And when they were done, she told them, they're like, there was no meat in there. So we're blown away. So it was really, it's eye-opening. It's really cool to see people's reactions when they're shocked to learn that you really can make the meatless versions of some of your favorite dishes. So you're not giving up anything. In fact, you're giving yourself a gift, right? The gift of health. You're giving the world a gift. You're giving the animals a gift. So it really is about changing your perspective and really in appreciating.
Bonnie was telling me about a story yesterday about the company that had created that pork-like stuff, and he was at a convention.
Oh yeah,
that was really. He was at a convention and giving samples away of this plant-based meat, if you will, and this crowd came over, and this one guy was tasting it and saying, "Wow, this is really good." And he said, "Oh, well, it's all plant-based." And the guy just kind of turned red and walked away. He was apparently involved with the pork what was it? The pork
council
or something of that nature. So he was kind of like, "Oh, darn, gotta go." So it's people there are more and more great chefs showing up too. So people, the restaurant options are really taking off in a big way. So that's another wonderful thing. If people like to go out, you can really, there's what is it?
Happy Cow.
Happy Cow is one place where you can check, wherever you are and see what restaurants are there. But there are more and more, 4 or 5 star restaurants starting to pop up that are focusing on who's the fellow in California that's licensing his cooking, Plant City.
Oh, Plant City, Rhode Island.
What's the chef though? That I'm trying to think of his name. Oh well,
check that out. And
in Rhode Island, they're doing some great things with Plant City.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and they're just looking to take over. Plant City in itself is an amazing place where it's like it's like a market of all these different restaurants, and it's really a whole
different
vegan
foods.
scene. But they're also now doing this drive-through model. So, and they're just going to keep replicating that. So, because with COVID, people are much more comfortable doing drive-through. So that's what they're creating. So there's some really smart people behind that brand.
Yep.
Yeah.
They claim to be the largest vegan restaurant now, is what one of their claims.
No Plant Series.
Oh.
Yeah. And they have they have a great lineup there. So
Yeah.
more and more of that coming. So it's exciting and great to see. So there's a lot of it just every day there seems to be something new and exciting happening in that space. And like I said before, it is the key, to solving all these problems. And it's just exciting to see. And, those people who experiment are the biggest part of the driving force that moves the plant-based movement. It's those people that say, I know I shouldn't be eating red meat. I know it doesn't have any fiber. I know it's not good for my body, so I'm going to eat less of it. Well, chicken, the white meat thing doesn't work either. So you're going to run into the same problem, no fiber. So more and more people are learning and experimenting and saying, well, I'll do a vegan Monday, or I'll just do one dinner, or I'll do 3 dinners a week. What can I do that would be, meat and dairy free or meat free?
Yeah.
Vegetarian is still working in the right direction. So, it's exciting, and it's wonderful to have found a way to participate in that space and others that are related to there's just so many different approaches, and they all lead to the same place, which is ultimately, how do we save the planet for everybody, including the animals, because they're dying off at a frighteningly fast rate. The species of fish that are being stripped from the ocean, the damage that's being done there is just frightening, and seafood is becoming very unhealthy.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well, you both are doing some amazing work in the world. So thank you for everything you shared with us today. So
pleasure.
People would like to get in contact with you directly. What is the best way to do that?
So my email is bonnie@passionplacement.com, and Paul's is paul@passionplacement.com. That's probably the easiest way. We're on LinkedIn a lot too. That's another way to find me.
Okay. The website again, you mentioned it earlier, but could you say the website again, please?
Passionplacement.com.
Yeah, and we'll go a little further with that, so that anyone who's interested in talking with us or doing a little bit of consulting with us, where our door is always open. They can go to the website. There's a free 20-minute call if they want to just explore some of these ideas, or are looking for some advice on how to move towards what matters to them. We're always happy to help and invite them to come along, and we'd be more than happy to send them a code for 20% off if
for employers.
For employers.
That's employers. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, for employers, if they want to sign up and buy a membership plan, post their jobs on our site, and have access to the talent database. That's really how the site is funded, is with employers.
Yep.
So that we offer a 20% discount, and same thing, get in touch with one of us through email, and we'll be happy to send you that 20% discount.
Yep, absolutely. And like I said, the call is free. So if they want to reach out, they can just schedule a call with us, a time with us, and we'd be happy to spend some time with anyone. It's our favorite subject, so we love talking about it.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I have so enjoyed our conversation today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
really
having
a pleasure.
us. Thank you for all you do.
Looking forward to getting my hands on your book, Soar. And
yes, I need to get that in the mail. They're definitely on the list. So
well, that'd be wonderful.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you again for being here. And to all of our viewers and listeners, thank you. I believe the time is a choice, and I'm grateful that you have carved time out to be here with Bonnie and Paul and listen to their super powerful message and all the amazing work they're doing in the world. Again, I would love to have you join our Facebook group, liveauthentically.today/FB, and check out a copy of my book, Soar, on Amazon. So thanks, everyone, and have a great day.